Okay, so this character is my Elemental Aura Shadow. He's gone through some changes since the last time I updated the guide, so this is going to accompany the changes that I have for the guide. I'm now level 81. I am 3 levels higher, and a few pieces of my gear have changed. So first, some of the important things. I now run Anger, Wrath, Herald of Ice, and Clarity. So with this, I'm able to run all these auras because of a few new things. So first of all, I got this new helmet here. It has mana on it. The accuracy is nice. It has a good life roll. I don't need the accuracy, but should I ever spec out of Resolute Technique, this will be a good piece to have. It also has that nice Magic Find mod on it. Yeah, I replaced my old helmet with this. I also replaced my gloves. These have life, added elemental damage, and tri-res, which is pretty sick. I haven't changed any of my jewelry, but as of now there is no build video, so I guess I can go through all my gear in general. So I'll start with my bow. This is a 5-link. It's tri-LE attack speed. This character uses Resolute Technique, so the global crit multiplier doesn't really matter at this point. Eventually it might, but I'm not really planning on going crit because I want to use a high attack speed bow. So the principle of this character is we use our flat damage buffs, namely Anger, Wrath, and Herald of Ice, to add damage to our attacks, and then we attack really fast to scale that. So our primary skill here is Tornado Shot. So I have my Tornado Shot supported by weapon elemental damage, faster attacks, greater multiple projectiles, and pierce. So basically what this does, those of you who don't know about Tornado Shot here, it fires out a series of projectiles that explode at your cursor location. The explosions, I believe, they fire like 6 projectiles each in random directions, but basically the initial arrows that fly out will always pierce, so you can potentially hit an enemy up to 6 times with this skill. Okay, so basically once from the initial shot and then once from each explosion. So if you look at my tooltip here, it is 5k or so, which means that if I hit an enemy with 2 projectiles, which is fairly likely, it's 10k, 3, which is also fairly likely, is 15, 4, which is still pretty likely, is 20, but max possible DPS is about 30k, which is pretty insane. One of the big points of this build is that he is budget. Like none of my gear you would really pay that much for at all. So the reason for Pierce here is because this makes it more primed for AoE attacks, because normally your arrows would just get blocked by some random guy and they wouldn't get through, but this way it allows me to potentially hit a whole bunch of enemies with all my projectiles, which makes it effective at single target as well as AoE attack. So what I used to run on this character, I used to run Barrage, which is what's in the guide. I'm going to change that. But once Tornado Shot came out, I tried it. It did better. It does better AoE than my split arrow setup, which is faster attacks, chain, and weapon LE. It does better DPS AoE than this, and it does better single target than Barrage. So I have no reason not to use this. But I keep the chain around because it's nice to check if enemies are there, because it flies a lot farther than Tornado Shot does. And also it's useful against reflect packs because it doesn't do as high damage, so I don't kill myself as fast. And then here, this is where I run two of my auras. I have I think 6 auras total on this character, but I only use 4 at a time. So here I don't use this Grace, but I use Herald of Ice and Clarity, which I'm currently capping this at level 16. Eventually the goal is to be able to do Blood Magic on my main skills, and that way I'll be able to run additional auras and won't have to run Clarity. But I need this to be able to maintain my mana when attacking at this point. I'm thinking about using either Warlord's Mark or Poacher's Mark to potentially get mana or life on hit, which would help a lot because I don't really have any leech, and the way this character stays alive is by spamming flasks and running. But on my chest here, we have my reduced mana linked to my level 18 Anger, my level 18 Wrath, and my level 18 Haste. So the haste is something that I want to have it ready. Ideally, I'd like to run this, but I have to be able to pay for my skills. So That's pretty important. And then on my helmet here, this is just leveling gems, except for I actually use the Elemental Weakness Curse because it's really powerful. So I kind of already talked about my helmet, I already talked about my bow. I'll talk about my chest here. This is something I found. It's got life, dual res. It's a reasonable chest. So one of the big things I've done with this character to try to make him budget is that all the gear on him are things that I found myself while playing him. So it's like it's not like I have taken gear I've had sitting in my stash or bought anything for this character. Everything I have I've found. And this character, he's pretty darn tanky. As you can see, I've got over 4,000 hit points, and on my resist, I'm not really focusing on armor or evasion. I have a decent evasion rating, but all my resists are overcapped. So 135 is what you're looking for in Merciless as your total, because your hideout is normal, and so basically all these get minus 60. So I got 90 fire resist, 96 cold resist, and 122 light resist. I have a negative chaos resistance, but that's not that bad, and I have 28% increased move speed, which is nice. So I'll talk about my quiver here. This is a old quiver. I started this character before they made the quiver changes. But this quiver, it's got elemental damage, which is fantastic, attack speed, and then life. This has one prefix open, but my Tor isn't high enough to craft anything reasonable that I actually want on here. But this bow is good. Ideally, I think I don't really need resist on my quiver anymore, because I'm capped with my other gear. So really, I want like elemental damage, attack speed, maybe pierce chance or or some kind of added elemental damage would be nice, but I don't have that, and I'm fine with this quiver. It's pretty solid. My amulet is just like a bunch of stats, resistance, life. It's pretty basic. This is just resistances, life, damage. Again, pretty basic. Life, mana, resist. Pretty basic. And then life, resist, elemental damage with weapons. Pretty basic. My boots, life, resistance, move speed. Flasks are just kind of general things. I dropped like a few orbs on and got them. So pretty much all my gear is self-found. So I'm running two 60% auras, a large flat aura, and a herald. And you can see here 29% reserved, 204 reserved, 29%, and 12%. So I'm going to go ahead and go through my passive tree here. So this character is a shadow, if you didn't already know. I have about 260. I have 262 strength, 264 int, and 202 dex. And basically, we get elemental damage, we get some life, attack speed, projectile damage, reduced reserve, projectile speed and damage, life regen, attack speed, evasion, attack speed, more aura stuff, mana, aura stuff, life and mana. Inner Force, I just got this. This is new. This is what I got at level 81. We got life and mana regeneration, life, other things. We got Resolute Technique, we got life, elemental damage, life, and these are probably going to be my next two nodes, I'm thinking, just to get more aura effect. And yeah, that's my passive tree. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and I'm also going to do a demo map. So let's do something simple that this character would run. Promenade, okay. So with 69s, I usually just trans and stuff. Oh, this is something you do not want to run. Reflect elemental damage will destroy you. Animals, that will mean monkeys and devourers. Oh, I'm okay with that. Okay, I'm okay with that. Let me go ahead and message this guy back. Oh, goes it. Okay. So basically, I'll basic tornado shot things before we kill anything here. You aim behind them, so the initial projectile goes through them, and then the other projectiles explode and come through them from behind. That's really how you get max DPS out of it. Okay. We got an artisan's box. I'm also thinking about getting the mana and mana on kill things, because it would help me maintain my mana pool, and then I could maybe spec out of them later. Do I have a transmutation? I do. Ow. Okay, I can go back to my hideout and get this stuff, but it's just an artisan's box. Yeah, artisan. It's like you don't really want to mod artisans that much because artisans only drop the items that increase quality. What you really want to do is the Arcanist box. Those are the ones that drop currency, and they are the best. So just as a demonstration here, I'll use split on these guys. I mean, it still does pretty good damage, but I guess tooltip is almost 4k, and it hits each enemy 3 times pretty much, so it's about 12k. I prefer tornado quite a bit though, but split again, it's clean, but tornado is just like it's much better. So I use tornado pretty much all the time now. Again, with except for the cases I mentioned. I think you could shoot down this cliff. Yeah, look at that random spray. Okay. So one of the things I think the buff effect thing might actually affect your flasks, which is kind of interesting. I think Inner Force may actually affect your flasks. I'm not 100% sure on that. But it's kind of cool. I mean, I took Inner Force, I felt like I was running faster. I don't know if I actually did, but actually, let's check here. Okay, so my move speed is 28. My flask should be giving me 40. And it is, okay. So Inner Force does not affect your flasks. That was just me, like, pseudo effect in my head. So, one of the best things about this character is the fact that, like, if you want to make a character like this, his gear is, I've said this multiple times, I'll say it again, his gear is really cheap. You could probably get everything on this character for maybe 20 chaos. Except for your gems, you'd have to level those yourself, but like you could get the 5-link bow. You don't even need a 5-link, you can do it with a 4-link. You just need like GMP or LMP, faster attacks, and weapon alley. You don't really need Pierce. Well, again, Pierce is good, but it's like not as important as the other ones. A little desync there. This character is a lot about spacing. Like, you can do really well if you space well. Okay, ID that. Always ID big boxes. That is kind of scary. Freezes when activated, and Rogue Exile. Do I have a remove freeze flask? I do not. Swag. Okay, not bad at all. Except for the fact that she hurts. Okay, got her. This box dropped a lot of stuff. Okay. Okay. Who needs 2-handers? Everyone knows that 1-handers are better. Curse. Again, just keep as long as you aim generally behind the person you're trying to kill, you will achieve max possible damage. There is a little bit of luck, but the thing is, like, the average amount of projectiles you hit with is pretty high. I don't know how many it actually is. I think when I fire right, your average is about 4, because I've like done corrupting blood mods to like check it, and when you shoot the corrupting blood like with once, if I usually get like 4 stacks per shot. So this is something to be mindful of, because this is, again, with all high attack speed builds, you got to watch for corrupting blood. So I got this instant recovery remove bleed flask, which is the best like remove bleed flask in the game in my opinion, because Eternal doesn't restore as much total life, so Divine is really what you want for like any kind of instant recovery flask. I would prefer like my Eternals with like either like the increased recovery speed mod, or the increased amount recovered and the reduced recovery time, because you can get a lot of life and it's still at a very fast rate. This character's like biggest, least favorite enemies, probably the croaking Chimero guys, the little frogs that like jump on you, and shoot the Arctic breath. Like, they are jerks. I don't think anybody really likes them, which I suppose is probably a good thing. Like, in my opinion, they're like right up there with Void Bearers, and the Ghouls. So, and I don't think anybody likes the Ghouls. Well, some builds the Ghouls aren't really that bad, but like they run around like so erratically, they're really annoying. So, an important question that I have been asked by people I've played with when using this build is like, oh, why aren't you using an Alpha Hal? And the answer is, it's because I've been playing this character as self-found. So the thing is, I have an Alpha Hal. I actually have 2. Alpha Hal would improve this character quite a bit, because it would give me +2 levels to like all my key DPS auras. In addition to reducing the mana I reserve, which would basically mean I can run more auras. However, again, because I'm playing self-found, I haven't used it because I haven't found one on this character. But if I were to find one, I'd probably equip it, or I might equip it anyway. But it is like if you want to improve your build and you're doing something like this, like Alpha Hal is like definite yes. Like Alpha Hal is like no question. I mean, versus my current helm, I would lose life and resistance, but that's not that big of a deal. Sweet, I got a 70. That's nice. Okay, this boss is. This boss is not that dangerous at all. Like, you just kite him, and I'm pretty sure I can tank him like a man. Yeah, I'll tank him. And she's no problem. I'll curse. So if you like range builds, I would recommend this. I'll also recommend it for like New League, just in general, because Tornado Shot is sick. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go back to town. I'll go through a few of the things you could use to upgrade this character after I sell here real quick.
God bless you, Exile.
Bloop. Okay, so a few of the things that you could use to upgrade this character, you could use an Alpha Hal. This is something I talked about. +2 Aura Gems means +2 levels to Anger and Wrath. And probably whatever third aura I'm running, which in this case I would be Haste. I want to roll this to red, red, green, blue, which is like the colors that everybody wants. Other ways that you can upgrade this build, you could run a unique chest. Since this is a life build, like there's a lot of really good options out there. Prime example of an option would be one of these. You could run a Belly the Beast. Belly the Beast is like really good for like any life build. It gives you like the 38% increased life is really good now. After they made the change and increased your life per level. Like characters have better flat life now and less percentage life. So this is something you could use to increase your life and look cool. And if you were a really cool cat and like using blood magic and you had like a really like high linked one of these, you could run a lightning coil. In that case, you'd like run like you could probably run both haste and period of lightning and just drop this on your chest and it's like free 30% physical damage reduction. I have like if you have the gear, like this is probably like the Uber option. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, this is super amazing. Also, you could potentially run a Combs Heart. This character, like he doesn't need I don't need a second link on my chest, and I could just move these auras onto my helmet. Just have to, or my boots. I just have to roll them to it, or maybe get a new pair of them. But yeah, you could potentially wear a Combs Heart on this character. Let's see, other things. If you wanted to, you could use one of these. You could potentially use a Lionized Glare. There's a few advantages and disadvantages to this. First of all, it lets you spec out of Resolute Technique because you don't need it anymore, essentially, because your hits can't be evaded because it's Lionized. Also, it gives you more mana, and it has a really good attack speed value. The other thing about this is that Lionized actually does enough physical damage that life and mana leech could actually become meaningful, which means that you know, if you go into your tree here and you kind of you go over here and you get the life and you get these life, if you get the life leech here and you go over here and get the mana leech over here, you could actually have enough physical damage where you could actually potentially make use of these. The thing is, like my attacks, they only deal 25 to 76 physical damage, and that's like not anything. That's like nothing to leech off of. I do so much elemental damage that it's really like if I had elemental leech, that would be amazing. Something else you could do to improve, if you go over to your workbench here, you could, I don't think, yeah, you can only craft physical leech. At least for me, I can only craft that onto armor at this point. I don't think there's an elemental leech you can get on rings. No, there's not. And this is where the elemental leech nodes actually are. Here we go. So these can only be applied to one-hand weapons. So I can't really, I can't put this on my bow, right? We got my bowmaker's tools here. Like, there's pretty much like, yeah, there's like, there's no elemental leech that you can apply to your bow. So, yeah, it'd be something really, you'd have to like corrupt gear to get elemental leech on gear, or potentially use a Doriani's belt of your highest element. I would probably pick, I'd probably pick lightning. Like I do more lightning damage than anything else. But yeah. So again, this is a budget character. He is super fun, really pretty easy to play, rather tanky.